Hey YouTube, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. You want to see this SCX24 stock with stock radio with this awesome upgrade ESC from Modellbauregler.de run on 3S? I will show it in the end of the video. But first let's talk about the ESCs I showed you in my last video. In my last video I showed you how to use those awesome ESCs, the AS12 6RW from Modellbauregler.de and the AS12 15RW with stock radio, stock receiver in the Axial SCX24 and in the Panda Hobby Tetra. First of all, of course, you also can use the AS12 15, the larger ESC that includes a BEC in the SCX24, no problem, of course. And if you can use the small AS12 6RW in the Panda Hobby, probably you can, I won't. Maybe you've seen the video where I tested the amp draw of the motors or the trucks in stock form, and the Panda Hobby does have a really large motor and draws a lot more amps, up to 8 amps, than all the other micros I had. And well, the AS612 does have a constant 6 amp peak, 12 amps, so probably it should also work in the Panda Hobby. And then of course everything I tell now about BEC or no BEC is also guilty valid in the Panda Hobby Tetra. Yesterday I spent a lot of time showing and explaining how to mount the ESC and what options do we have to use a BEC in the Axial SCX24 with the small AS12-6, which doesn't come with a BEC, and how to wire and the different options for wiring different BECs. And now a guy in a German forum from Munich, Martin MGO, he asked, but why do we have to use a separate BEC if we use the Axial SCX24 stock electronics? And he's totally right. This stock electronics includes an ESC and a BEC and a receiver, and of course it should work. And I'm a little bit upset or ashamed I didn't think of this, and now I tested it. Yes, of course it works. So we do not need to solder a separate BEC to the small awesome ESC AS12 6RW if we want to use it in the Axial SCX24. We can simply use the stock BEC. So it's even much easier than I thought, and that's a perfect solution. Thanks to Martin for this, and I'm really ashamed I didn't think about this. And what do we have to do? Because quite a couple of people seem to have problems with wiring, BEC and all this stuff. I will show it here now. We do have the Axial SCX24 battery, which has to be connected to the power plug of the receiver unit of the SCX24. So simply wire this up. I only use those cheap wires for demonstration purposes. If you want to buy ready to use plugs, JST-PH, try to get those with silicone wires. They are much better. So we need to connect this to the battery, so that way, and we have the AS12 6RW ESC, which also needs to be powered. So we can also connect this to the battery. Of course, better is direct solder, and we make a Y cable here. So connect battery in parallel, Y cable to the receiver unit and to the ESC. You can make a plug here or normally you would directly solder it. And furthermore, we need 2 wires to the motor, and we need the signal wire and the black, the GNU wire, and connect it to the channel 2 of the Axial SCX24 stock receiver unit. So we have to solder a servo wire to those 3 pins, but you do not have to use the center wire, the red one, the plus. It's not necessary. I will show it to you later. You also can only use the signal wire, what's this pad here, and the black GNU wire, what's the outermost. And of course you could do it the way I did it. You take this wire that comes from the battery and don't make a Y cable, but solder this to the ESC, to plus and minus, and then take the wire that comes from the receiver unit and solder it in parallel here to the pads, red to red and black to black. I didn't control it. I guess that's plus, but check the manual. Of course you have to solder it in correct polarity. So that's the way I did it, always, what saves a little bit of room and a little bit of space. And I also did already prepare an ESC and did it that way. So that's an AS12 6RW without BEC. We do not need a BEC. And you see, I do have the battery plug that will go into the battery, and here on the black minus, red plus, I soldered this plug, and this plug will bring the voltage to the receiver unit of the SCX24. And in the center position I have the motor plug. This time I used blue and yellow wires, so I don't really like that those are the same types of plugs. And I soldered to those pads in front here where the servo wire needs to be soldered, only the signal and the black GNU wire of a servo cable. I removed the red cable. You do not have to do this, but if you do it, you're safe. You have to solder one spot less, so you can, but you do not have to. So that's an ESC now, ready to use with the SCX24 in absolutely stock form, without extra BEC. How awesome is this? It's absolutely awesome. And now let's check how this works. Remove this stuff. That's the wire for the receiver unit. That's the battery wire, and that's the motor wire. Don't mix this up, I hate this. So we also could simply plug the motor wire again into the receiver unit and then use the stock ESC, but we want the performance upgrade, of course. So I plug the motor to the ESC. As I told you yesterday, here you have to reverse polarity, so the red plus has to go to the minus black of the motor, and the black minus to the red. You have to change motor wires or whatever, because the radio of the SCX24 doesn't have a reverse for channel 2. And now I simply plug the signal and GNU to channel 2. And now we are ready to go. That's everything that's necessary. super tiny ESC, so fits perfectly some way here with a little bit of double-sided tape or on the top, wherever. It's super tiny. And what you have to do before you power up the unit, so plug on the battery, you do already have to switch on the receiver unit. So it will not work if the receiver unit is off. Why? The ESC needs a signal in the beginning to calibrate, and I will show you now what happens. Radio is on now and the receiver unit is off, and now we plug the battery to the ESC I prepared, and the power also comes to the receiver unit. You see it here, and it's off. Now I switch it on. You see there's light, but no power because the ESC needs the signal in the beginning. So I plug off the battery again, start always with power on here, or don't switch it off anyway. So, and now switch it, plug it, and it works. How awesome is this again? I show you again a little bit of the awesome driving performance of this ESC, how tiny it is, and no BEC this time, so even easier. If you didn't see the last video, that's of course full speed, but it has awesome driving performance. Check this out. And no noise, no ESC noise. Absolutely awesome. And now it's super easy to change to the original ESC. I simply plug off the battery and plug off the motor and plug the motor again to the ESC unit. So now we are on stock. We run with stock electronics and stock ESC, and you will see a big difference. I plug off, on, and now, no, this doesn't work now. The stock ESC. Do you hear the noise? I'm on the highest speed. And can you see how big the difference is? The performance of the SCX24 in stock form is not bad, but I try to climb as slow as possible. Let's switch it off. Battery off. Motor out. I switch it on again. So motor, battery, don't mix this up. And is this battery? Yes. And find a nice place for those wires and this tiny unit. And now check it out again. Awesome. And of course it does have still the same power. So absolutely awesome, and even a BEC is not necessary. Thanks to Martin for pointing this out. And I told you in the beginning of the video I will show you how to run the SCX24 with this awesome ESC on 3S. But therefore you will need a BEC, and I will use this AS12 6 where I soldered a small BEC to it yesterday, the ESC I showed you yesterday, because 3S, I guess the stock electronics of the Axial SCX24 is not meant to be used on 3S. I don't know if some guys did already use it on 3S. I didn't try, I won't try. I guess it should be only used on 2S. So therefore we need a BEC, and this BEC adjusts the voltage to 5 volt, no matter if there is a 3S battery with 12.6 volts or a 2S battery with 8.4 volts. And now let's check this. So that's everything you need. No BEC, only some wires. And now I will use this ESC with BEC. Let's plug it in channel 2. That's the motor plug. Correct, yes. And that's the power plug. We don't want to use the 2S stock battery now. I intend to use super tiny 3S battery here, whatever, for testing purposes here. Super tiny, super light, only 180 milliamp hours. And I need an adapter. And now let's power it up with 3S. Pop, pop, pop. And now the SCX24, stock electronics, stock radio, 3S. But it's still an absolutely awesome crawler and climber. Check this out. On 3S. I can even go slower, I don't know. I will probably make my modded SCX24 on there. 3S. Check this out, it's unbelievable. This performance is absolutely awesome, and it's not, I'm on high speed and the low speed control is that awesome. I could go slower, this was my fault. Check this out. I'm not on the ground. I can go up and down on the edge. How awesome is this? Even on 3S. Absolutely awesome. And of course you can use now the 3 different speeds, but there's not really any advantage. You will see the throttle trigger. Okay, on 3S it does already start faster, and that's now probably the, yeah, but there's no advantage in low speed modulation, low speed control. I have to nearly pull the trigger fully to get up that stair. And if I go to the highest speed again, check this out, I have the same control. On 3S on high speed. That's absolutely awesome. Come on, little guy. And of course it's much faster now because it's on 3S. So I think quite awesome news, isn't it? If you wanna use your SCX24 with stock electronics and upgrade it with a awesome ESC, which doesn't come with a BEC, it's 20 euros, and shipping worldwide also to my country is 8 euros, but you can buy more than one. You do not need a BEC. You can use the stock BEC and wire the ESC and the battery and the receiver unit as I have shown you in the beginning. And you can even run on 3S. But therefore I do recommend to use a special BEC which reduces the voltage to 5 volt. I do not know if the stock BEC of the SCX24 receiver unit, ESC unit, is capable of 3S. That's it, I guess. That's quite good news. The easiest way now to get awesome driving performance. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video. I'll be back.